guys, welcome to the channel, The Agnostic Philosopher. I'm Don. I cover theological topics. I cover non-theological topics, quantum mechanics, physics, cosmology, whatever. And I just take a look at the arguments being made. I do have a theological background, but I am agnostic. And this one I decided to take a look at, and it relates to Trinitarian dogma. It always does whenever this verse, somebody's going to be covering it. But I just saw it was a short that YouTube's algorithm recommended to me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take a look at this one. And it's a gentleman making the case, I think, that Yahweh is I am. And I don't know what he's going to say about this thing. I like reacting to him. Not him, but I like reacting to the videos, and they're just giving my thoughts extemporaneously. So let's see what this guy's got for us. And this one was titled, Does Yahweh Really Mean I Am? Let's see.
Does Yahweh really mean I am? God not once says Yahweh in Exodus 3:14. He doesn't get to it until verse 15. What he's actually saying when he says I am in verse 14 is ehye, which is the qal imperfect first person common singular of the verb haya, or to be, which means I am. So when he gives Moses instruction at the end of verse 14 to say I am has sent me to you, he's saying, ehye has sent me to you. But then in verse 15, he's actually clarifying, say, the Lord has sent me to you. And that's when he finally says Yahweh. And that's the same verb, haya, or to be, but in the third person masculine singular form, which would translate he is. So what God is actually saying is that my name means I am. But when you say my name, you say he is.
Okay. He didn't really get after Trinitarian dogma there. Maybe he would get there, maybe he wouldn't. The study of language is a fascinating thing, and we humans can parse things ad nauseum, sometimes rightly so, other times not, sometimes to deleterious effect. Here it's neither of those things, it's just informational. But in one sense, it would be contrary to Trinitarian dogma, where the Trinitarian argument goes from a Christian perspective, obviously not from a Jewish perspective, but a Christian perspective, is that in Exodus 3:14, God, or Hashem, referred to himself as I am, right? According to many interpretations. That's not the only one, but let's just go with it. Then in the New Testament, in the Gospel of John in 8:58, Jesus said, let me get this, I grabbed it. And Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. And most people many Trinitarians in a very simplistic way grab onto that phrase, I am, and say, see, Jesus was saying he's the I am spoken of in the Hebrew Bible, the allusion or reference being Exodus 3:14, where it's first mentioned that God is I am, right? Like another reference to him. And just one thing of note is very simply that if the phrase I am is a substitute for the name Yahweh or the title God or Hashem, it's an incomplete sentence, because then it would be, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, Yahweh. That'd be the end of the sentence. You're like, well, Yahweh what? So here, when we do substitutions, it's highly impractical, and it shows the idea of the divinity, depending on how you define that, or the deity, or the double nature of Christ doesn't stand when you're using this to prove it. But that isn't what this gentleman did here. He was just, maybe he eventually did do it this was a short, so maybe it was part of another teaching or position he takes. But I have a fair amount of expertise, if you will, and having studied the doctrine of the Trinity and published a book by International Scholars Publications, published it in 1998. I recently digitized it, but it is available on Amazon Kindle. I think it's 10 or 15 bucks, something like that. And it goes in depth into the historical arguments against the doctrine of the Trinity. It also, you have to posit the ones in favor of the doctrine in order to contradict them, and that's what the book is full of that. But it really does do a very deep dive into it. So anyway, that was it. I like what he had to say. It wasn't especially enlightening, but it might be very useful in another context. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you on another video, and keep thinking philosophically. Hey, folks. If you want to take the personality test that I created for my life coaching practice, which is based on the book that I wrote, put your phone up, turn it on camera, and focus on this, and it'll take you to it. And it'll take you about 20 minutes to complete the test. It's free, and you'll get some information on your personality. It's quite detailed, quite revealing. It's kind of fun as well. And I'll be leaving this QR code up on the wall behind me for my regular videos. So I hope you take it. And I hope you enjoy it.